recovery. You got to be tenacious about your recovery if you want to stay sober. My name is Vinny. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
And I'm Sam, alcoholic and an addict.
And take it away, brother.
I'd like to introduce a good, close personal friend of mine, Joe Perry, otherwise known to the public as Lil Snuff.
What's up, fellas? How you doing today?
How we doing,
right.
brother? Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for coming out, brother.
This
Thanks
is like
for
our
having
first
me.
real celebrity that we've had on.
Please.
Right.
A
that's
local
right.
legend, dude.
I'm the brokest celebrity you ever met.
Well, you're married, right? So, yeah, of course
that's
you're
it.
broke.
What's kind of funny is like you and I met through this thing called recovery,
Yes.
right? We became friends like almost initially. We just had common interests. We like hanging out, doing
we
all
like
kinds
food.
of stuff. We like food. We like playing golf, this, that, and the third. But it wasn't until like end of the summer I realized that we had like the same amount of time sober.
Yeah.
Like almost like within a couple months.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
He celebrated 8 years shortly after I did.
September 11th, I celebrate 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and whenever I
Nice.
like meet with someone, he's married as well. Like he's got a family, an aspiring family, and I always kind of like to connect with somebody like that because for me, it's like the last 8 years have been very, very not like I don't want to say highs and lows. Like it's been all great. Like I'm a real person now.
Of course.
I'm a
yeah,
real
yeah,
adult.
yeah.
You know
real
what I mean?
feelings, you have real emotions.
Absolutely.
But with that has come a great deal of challenges and like learning opportunities where, you know, maybe deep down inside, I want to act like I'm still sick and suffering and
Yeah.
make a couple different mistakes. And I certainly have along
course,
the way.
yeah.
So I love connecting with people who are kind of not saying that you're struggling, but who are at the same time period as me because it's like, we're real adults now.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And I never thought I would be one.
No,
Like
no,
I thought
of
I would
course.
always be like
That's
a
funny.
creature.
Real adults.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I don't really know a lot about your story. Like I know that, you know, you got sober and you've done really, really well for yourself with the podcast and just kind of being a local South Philly guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, first we got introduced to you. Got introduced to me from our buddy Viz.
From Viz,
Tony
yeah.
Viz.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Shout out Viz.
He comes up to me one day. We're at a softball event, and
Yeah.
he says, you gotta meet this kid. You'll love him."
Yeah.
So you know his name's Sam. So I'm like, "All right." So he walks me over. I meet Sam. He's like, "Listen," he's like, "You two guys love food." He's
Yeah.
like, "You would be perfect for each other."
Wow.
So
Sweet.
we hit it off from there, and you know we started talking from there, and ever since then we got really close.
Cool.
And you know, when you're in recovery and you're in, how can I say it, like going through life, you meet new people.
Sure.
And people that you know that you meet, you could tell who's good and who's not. I mean, that's anything in life. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So you're one of them people that you know you came into my life at the right time, I would say, and you know we hit it off. We became really good friends, and like same thing with Mark Warner. Like when I
Yeah.
met Mark, you
Great
know,
guy.
great dude. Like you know, if it wasn't for Mark, you know, I probably wouldn't have a job. So
Definitely.
you know, like Mark brought me into the recovery field, and it was just at you know a crazy time in my life. I lost my job because of the podcast. So I'll
Really?
get into that at
Really?
the end.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I'll talk to you about that. But my story, I would say, you know,
Yeah. How does it start? You're South
So-
Philadelphian.
I'm from South Philly, born and raised on 16th of Jackson. That's where I hung out at 1J6. My family's from the Italian market, you know, 10th and Carpenter area. So my mom didn't want me to live over there because 10th and Carpenter area, the Italian market, is all gambling.
Yeah.
And she said, let's move somewhere else so you don't take the habits of your father. That did not work.
Yeah.
I was gambling. So I grew up normal household. My parents are still together now. You know, I have a sister, you know, Monique. I have a stepsister, I like to say. Her name's Victoria. You know, normal family, just a straight family life, Italian, you know, dinners together, holidays together, and just have fun together.
And you guys are you're really tight.
close.
Really,
Yeah,
really.
very
Like you have a
close.
group chat. It's going all the time.
So my whole entire life, since phones started group chats, before I go to bed, I love you, good night. We'll
Oh, wow.
answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
For every single night, from the beginning of group chats till now.
Wow.
So that's always been.
Wow.
And then when I, you know, met my wife, she came into the group chat.
Oh, they invited her. They let her in.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
They
that's
let her
nice.
in?
Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, we have a group chat too, and my wife's a part of it.
Yeah.
She does more chatting than I do.
Of course.
I'm just like, get me out of this friggin' group chat, man.
Yeah.
Like,
We
you're
have
killing me.
several.
I know.
We have several group chats, some with some people, some
Yeah.
without. Yeah, that's wild.
It's
Gotta
group
watch
chats
which
are
ones you
up with
post
it.
on.
I'm not good on the group chats, you know?
I mean, listen,
not
it's
good
too
at
much
it.
with the phone.
Yeah.
It really is. So, you know, we close still till this day, you know, and nobody in my family really did drugs. In my immediate family, besides my Uncle Ralphie, who's 76 years old now, and I talk to him every single day. And growing up, you know, I was a late bloomer. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. The first time I ever did anything was a Percocet. I never drank. I never smoked weed.
Wow.
I never smoked weed until this day.
Wow.
Never smoked weed. Even when I was in active addiction.
To this
never
day?
smoked weed. I thought it was filthy. You know, all
about
my
that?
friends growing up, like my best friend, TJ Biondo, you know, he's in recovery now. He just celebrated, I think, 10 years. He used to smoke when we were younger, and I used to kill him. You're fucking disgusting. You're a junkie. You're a crackhead. Like, I used to kill him because I thought it was like smoking was filthy. And I said, well, you know, I'm better than everybody. I'll just do Percocets. It's cleaner. So my story goes is that I was young.
It's cleaner.
Yeah, it's
I
cleaner.
never heard it.
Yeah, like
sound like
you know
that.
what it
It's
was?
cleaner.
It's a little
If
bit
you
more
could-
stylish.
Right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, well, listen, if people could see, they could see, you know, I always got a fresh haircut. I
Yeah,
always get
right.
my nails done. You know, I go tan it. Like,
do, yeah.
I try and put myself together. So I say,
Yeah,
you know what?
It's clean. I know what you mean.
I didn't want to put anything in my hands like that smell. I just hated it.
Yeah.
Right.
Our generational smoke blunts
Yeah,
too,
it's,
which
like,
is
disgusting.
Just, you can't get it off you.
So what happened was I always hung out with older people. And one night we were going down the shore. And my friend said to me, he just got his wisdom teeth out. And he said, they gave me 7.5 Vicodins. He's like, you want to do one tonight? Now, remind you, this time I never smoked. I never drank. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do one. So we get into the club. It was called Memories in Margate.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
So, all right. So
Popular.
we go there and we're all in there. We're having a good time, you know, just staying there, hanging out. And I look over at my boy and his eyes, he's got blue eyes. His eyes are glowing.
Yeah.
And he's having the time of his life. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, you know what?
That's
like,
hilarious.
I'm like, give me one. So he puts it in my hand. And at that moment, I got scared. And I act like I did it. And I walked over to the trash can. I threw it in the trash can.
About that.
So 20 minutes go by, and I'm thinking about it the whole time. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I really do want to do it. I walk back over to the trash can. Now, this is a nightclub.
Yeah,
People are
there's-
throwing bottles.
Right.
Everything. In the trash can. I walk over to the trash can, and don't you know the motherfucking pill's sitting right there, and I seen it.
Right
Yeah.
on top.
Take it right out of the trash can. I do it. And then as soon as I walked over, I ordered a Michelob Ultra. And I went off to the races from them. By the end of the weekend, I'm buying 3 P10s a night, and 3 for $25. The yellow
Of
school
course.
buses.
Yeah, the school
And
buses.
I'm like,
buses.
this is
by
fucking
the end
great.
of the by the end of the
By
weekend.
the end of the weekend, so say that was Friday night. By Saturday, Sunday, I'm doing 3 a day.
Wow.
Now, I'm like having a ball. This
You're
is
in
great.
it.
I'm having sex. I'm drinking. I'm going nuts. And I'm like, all right. So Monday comes around. I'm like, Monday morning, I'm not doing a pill. I'm normal. You know what I mean?
Got to go back to work.
Monday night football's on. We go out and watch the game. I'm like, you know what? Let me call my boy, see if he's got one. I do one Monday. Then Wednesday rolls around and we're going to Delphia's in Denver for college night. I'm like, yeah, let me do one that night. And then before you know it, I'm full blown doing P10s every day of the week. I don't know nothing about addiction. I don't know nothing that I'm going to get sick.
You
just
used
it just
every
feels
day
good.
from the first time
From the
you
first
picked
time,
up.
it was like just like every day.
Wow.
How old were you?
I was about 18. Yeah, I was 18,
You were off
19.
to the races.
Yeah, I was off to the races.
Wow.
So you coming from somebody who never did anything, scared to death, to
18.
now, first time I do it, I fall in love with this fucking
So
pill.
much so, like, wore that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, like
You
I'm
know?
ready.
Yeah.
Like this is my time and I'm about to do it.
Wow.
So I go, do my whole thing, had a job, always had a girl, always had money. Always had money. I never had to worry about nothing. Because I always went to work, I went to school.
Right.
So now I'm in full-blown active addiction that I don't know. And one day I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do one today. Like, we're not doing anything today. And I feel fucking weird.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would imagine.
got-
Oh, you were sick.
I got a headache. My palms are sweating. My stomach hurts. I can't eat anything. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, you know what? Let me just go get one. Let me just go to P10 or something. Do it. Now I feel back to normal. I'm
Much
like,
better.
I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like, I'm addicted to Percocets. Like, that's
Yep.
it. So as time goes on, of course, gradually it gets worse and worse. We all know that. P10s
Yeah.
go
He
to
turns
15s,
10 to P30s. Yeah,
to 30s.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And all the never have I evers, I'll never snort a pill. Now now I'm starting to snort 30s. I'm like,
yeah.
Jesus God. Now during this time, I was engaged at a young age, blew that. Bought a house at a young age, blew that. Cars, repoed, blew
Yeah.
that.
Oh, man.
Family life, terrible.
Did your family know what was going on?
So my mom and dad didn't know until the first time I had to go to rehab.
Okay.
I think they thought of it, like that they knew something was going on, but parents don't want to admit it.
Mine didn't.
Yeah, like they don't want to admit it.
Exactly.
They in their mind, it's, you know, my son, he's okay. People are just talking shit. They're, you know, they're jealous.
They're probably a little bit on the old school side.
yeah,
and
like they don't
want
know.
to see it.
Exactly. My mom still to this day, like she won't even talk about it.
Really?
Let me tell you something. I've been clean for 38 years, and my parents are both 87. We don't talk about it ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
You know why? You don't need to.
Yeah.
They don't need to hear it.
Yeah.
What I used to do in Camden and Chester and all these other godforsaken cities.
They won't talk
don't
about
need,
it.
But they don't need it, man. You
I
know
know.
what I mean?
It's really crazy.
My parents, that's all they want to talk
That's
about.
all I want to talk about.
They want to act like I'm still in it.
Right.
Remember when you used
Yeah.
to? And I'm like, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that
What
was
do
a
you
long
mean?
time
Crazy.
ago.
Yeah.
So I'm in the I'm working at Stogie Joe's Tavern. I'm working at the saloon. I leave that business. I get into the stagehand union, IATSE Local 8.
Yeah.
Local 8.
So I'm in Local 8, and people always say, oh, well, when you got in the union, it got worse. It didn't get worse. It had nothing to do with the union. It had to do with me.
Not at all.
It was, I needed more pills to function. That's
Yeah.
really it.
You needed money.
So
Right.
I'm in the union. I wind up just getting worse and worse every day. Now I'm snorting meth. Now I'm doing coke.
Yeah.
Now I'm drinking like an animal. Now it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, you start drinking too.
Now it's
Okay.
10 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm an 8-ball deep, and it's just like my life is unmanageable at this point.
Absolutely.
So,
How old were you then,
I had
roughly?
22. I'm 22 years old. So, you know, your 21st birthday, you're a full-blown junkie already.
Yep.
100%.
And, you know, I always started hanging out with older people. So I already did the clubs. I already did these things. You know, I didn't care to go out no more. It was just like, it was over. So what happens is 2014, I go to my first treatment center. I get shipped down to Harbor Village in Boca Raton, Florida.
Okay.
I get dropped off to Joey Merlino. That's how my story with Joey starts, because I know him my whole life.
He's like a family friend.
Yes, my parents knew that he was down there. When I got dropped off, he sent somebody to pick me up. I ate dinner with him at his restaurant. He talked to me and said, like, what are you doing to yourself? And, you know, our relationship's always been, since I'm a kid, you know, I know my whole life, breaking balls, stuff like that. So when he seen me in active addiction, like, he was disgusted. You know what I mean?
Oh, he gave you a hard time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I go away, 2014. The girl I was with sticks by me for a half a rehab stint, which I don't blame her. You know what I mean? It is
Yeah,
what it
of
is.
course.
So I got an apartment, and I come home. I do 38 days in Florida. I come home 39 days. I stay for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Soon as I come home, day after, get high.
Right back to it.
Listen,
Yeah.
I tuned myself up, a little oil change. I'm ready to go.
You didn't go to meetings or anything like that?
No. And I went straight into, how can I say it? Like, I don't give a fuck about nothing. The girl left. My car got repoed. I got no apartment. I'm living on my parents' couch. Let's get this show on the road and let me
Still in the union?
still in the union, but let me ruin my life because I had enough.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm not the person that's ever depressed. I don't have anxiety, and I'm never nervous. Like, it's just not me. It's not my personality. So I was just like, I know what I'm doing. Let me just ruin everything, and let's get this show on the road. Go to another rehab. I go to Miramont. About, 6 months later, go to Miramont. I AMA 17 days. I got a girl sending me clothes. I got a girl sending me money. I got the girl picking me up, and next thing you know, I'm living in the Days Inn again, across the street from Penrose for a week, snorting 30s, smelling like an alley cat.
Yeah. You're in it.
I'm in it.
You're in
this
it.
is it.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
it now.
You're deep.
I'm deep.
Full blown.
Full blown, just a disgusting human being. Parents can't stand me at the moment.
I feel like when you're in that, and I've been in that as well, when you continue to drop the ball and not do what's suggested of you,
Yeah.
you do it because you almost feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
In like some sick and twisted way,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm going to take this for granted.
Yeah.
I'm going to lie to this person. I'm not going to do what this person
Yeah.
says. And I'm just going to continue to burn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's so twisted.
It really is.
You feel like it's your destiny
Yeah,
almost.
no,
you know?
100%. So after I go to detox one more time, it's not working. I start speedballing. I start doing perks and coke together, mixing them up, you know, start snorting it. And I'm driving down Porter Street. I live on 70th. I live around there now. And I'm driving down Porter Street. I do a bag, and boom. Next thing you know, I wake up. There's a lady in front of me, and she's like, "Are you okay?" Who I know her my whole life. I smoked the car in front of me. She's like, "The car's smashed. Are you okay?" "Yes, get out of here." I get out of here. I park the car on my payment. Wake up next morning, I tell my father, I don't know what happened. You know, they towed the car or whatever.
The same deal.
So
What'd
my
you hit?
parents,
Do you remember what you hit?
everything, like 4 parked cars.
Oh, wow.
Windows are shattered.
It's
everything.
easy to do that in South Philly, though.
Because they're so close.
You could do that.
It's
sober.
easy to just pinball down one of those blocks. Yeah.
So then September 10th, day before, I go back to rehab. I'm sleeping, and I guess I wake up in the middle of the night and I take a piss. I don't think nothing of it. September 11th morning, I wake up. My mom comes barging in the door. Now I'm sleeping in their bed. You know, they're downstairs at this point, and she's like, get downstairs right now. So I'm like, oh my God, somebody died. What happened?
Something's wrong.
It's my dad, my sister, and my mom, and there's a cup with my piss in it. And everything's lit up. And I'm like, where the fuck did you get that from? That's not mine.
Yeah.
When you were sleeping, you woke up, took a piss, we scooped it, yada,
Didn't
yada, yada.
flush the
Great
toilet.
move.
Right.
Great
Wow.
move.
Sure.
Wow.
Great move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for some reason, I got my back's against my sink, and I'm like, I'm done.
They got me.
I'm like, they got me. The gig is up.
Yep.
I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with this no more. So I looked at my mom and sister. I said, you know what? Take me to rehab right now. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, take me to rehab right now. I want to go. They're like, you really want to go? Yeah. My dad's like, you ain't going nowhere. I'm like, what? He's like, you're going to detox in that fucking room, and I ain't letting you out of this house.
Oh.
No problem. I'll kill myself.
That's hardcore.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
hardcore.
and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? And my dad's one of them people. He's a South Philly Italian dad who you ain't telling my son what to do. Nobody's going to tell my son what to do besides me.
Right.
So that's the end of the story, and that's it. Make a long story short, I call Malvern. Malvern has a bed for me. You know, they do the whole spiel. You got 500. No, motherfucker. If I got the money, I ain't giving it to you.
Exactly.
Not coming in to do that.
I tell my mom and sister, before you take me, my sister's not talking to me at this point. Drive me to go get what I need. Let me get high for the last time, and that's it. Of course, I burn the drug dealer, go to rehab to Malvern. When I'm in Malvern, it's day 18. I get called down to the office. We have to tell you something. What's the matter? They said, your father took a massive heart attack, and we don't think he's going to make it.
What?
I'm like, what? Instantly, at 18 days sober, then I felt like I started detoxing again. Like I instantly had to go to the bathroom. My face is sweating.
Oh my God.
Palms are sweating. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you can call your mom. I call my mom. She's like, he's not breathing. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. They're resuscitating him and this whole thing. So I'm like, well, I'm leaving. My mom's like, no, you're not leaving. Well, I'm not going to listen to my mom in this situation. My father, I got to get there. So I tell the lady, I'm leaving, call me a cab. She's like, that's not how it works here. You've been to rehab many times, this, that, the other. I said, all right. I said, give me one more phone call. I call my buddy who I grew up my whole life, Ray, his name is. I know his house number. He's not answering the phone.
By heart.
I call again, not answering. I call the third time. I leave a voicemail. Please call me back. I know you're mad at me. This is the situation. My father took a heart attack. Here's where I'm at. Come pick me up. I hang up the phone. I tell the lady, give me my belongings. I'm leaving. She says, you can't have anything, but if you want to leave, sign this piece of paper and you could go sit out front. No problem. By the time I get out front, my boy drove an hour and 10 minutes. He's outside.
He's already there.
Wow.
He's like, get in the car. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
Let's get to the hospital. Because you got to realize he knows my father his whole life too.
Yeah, it's like his father almost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We get to the hospital. Finally, I walk in. My grandfather's there. He's hysterical crying. My mom's there. My sister's there. I walk in the room. My dad's got wires all over him, and he's got his eyes are kind of like open. I woke up to the bed. I said, before I said anything, I said, I'm sorry. I said, and I promise you that I will never do drugs or drink ever again. From that day on, I stayed clean and sober. And I don't know if it was that he got sick or I really was done at that point, but something clicked in my mind like, that's it.
It was the moment of clarity.
It was like,
that was your moment.
Yeah,
That
like
was the
it was,
sanity moment.
Yeah,
That's right.
like it was like, that's it. I'm done. My grandfather at the time was probably like 78 years old. He passed away 2 years ago, and he was crying. He was like, what are you doing to yourself? Like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, that's it. So then my father gets out of hospital, let's say a week later. Now in recovery, my story is a little different because, like I said, my father's hardcore. I wasn't allowed to go to a recovery house. I wasn't allowed.
You had to go back home?
I wasn't allowed to do any of these things. Like, you ain't going to no fucking meeting. You're with me morning, noon, and night.
All the
Oh
time.
my God.
Morning, noon, and night.
That is old school.
Like, you ain't doing, nobody's going to tell my son that he's got to pay to live with you and that you're going to tell my son what he has to do and where he has to go. Ain't working with him.
You were like a dog.
Yeah, like it was kind of so much like I loved it because I didn't want to go to a recovery.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. No one does.
I'm like, and people are coming up to me like, you got to get away from your father. You can't listen to him in this situation. Somebody said that to my father, almost full blown fist fight.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, you know what I mean? And it wound up working out for the best. And it was just like, you know, you're going to stay with me and you're going to do this. And that's the end of the story. And then eventually, like 30 days after, I did start going to meetings.
Nice.
And I went to South Philly Group. A lot of good guys were there.
I went to South Philly Group in 86, 87.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. There were a lot of good guys there.
A lot of good guys. Still a lot of good guys
to
this day. Yeah. And it was just like, that was my moment. And from that day forward, like I just hit the ground running and I never looked back. And now I'm clean and sober, let's say going on 9 years. And during that time, you know, when you're clean and sober, you guys both know it's like you need a structure.
You need routine.
That. You need a routine.
Yeah.
So I got blessed. I started delivering cheesesteaks. I take a delivery to a guy's house who I know my whole life, and he says, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm delivering cheesesteaks to make money."
You're
like,
back to square one is what you're doing.
He's like, "What about the car business?" He's like, "I'm working at this dealership called Mole Chevrolet in Cherry Hill. I just took the job. I think you'd be great at being a salesman. Why don't you come in, meet the general manager, yada, yada, yada." I said, "Okay." I got no clothes for the interview. I show up in sneakers and like a Burberry t-shirt. They love me. They hire me. I start the next day.
Yeah.
On the spot. I start the next day.
Cool.
What year was this?
This is 2014. Like 2014, I started there.
Okay.
Got fired there a bunch of times. Now when I start back up there, it's 2016. I'm clean and sober.
Got it.
I get there, whatever. Now I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 to 9. Off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 9 in the morning, 6 at night. I'm the first one there, the last one to leave. I need the regiment. Start making a ton of money. You know, I'm doing great. They stuck by me twice already. Now I went back to rehab. So this is the third time. This is my last shot. I make it work. I'm doing great. And I needed that in my life at that point,
Definitely.
not knowing that I needed that schedule. So I start doing that. Salesman for 4 years, making a ton of money. My life starts coming back. You know, fuck the girl, fuck the house. I lost all that already. I'm single. I'm clean.
Making money.
Making money.
Yeah.
Now I'm the guy.
You're the
now
guy.
I'm back to being the guy that I was growing up. So all my friends are coming back into the picture. My family life's better, everything. And I never wanted to go back and hang in a bar. I never wanted to go out. So my buddy Pissarro, sober 11 years, says to me, "All right, that's enough. You got to come out now. You got to like get out of your house. It's been 2 years. Come out. It's Saturday night. We're going to this place." I think it might have been like Whisper or something. Mm-hmm. I said, "All right." I go for an hour. I got a Red Bull in my hand. He's like, just feel normal and then leave. Go home. He says, "I'm sober too." We take a picture. All my friends are there. I leave. Still, I'm like, you know what? I could do it. You know, it's 2 years. I'm fine. My buddy says to me, "What are we doing this weekend?" I say, "You know what? I got 6 Drake tickets. Drake's at the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
Let's go to Drake concert." He says, "All right, before we go to Drake concert, let's go to Tradesman's in Center City because my friends all still drink." He says, "Let's go up there. We'll have a drink and then we'll go to the concert." No, I'm not going there. I don't want to go there. And this is why I'm telling the story is because every time I said I didn't want to go somewhere and I wind up going.
Something bad happened.
No. Something good happened.
Oh.
Opposite for me.
Wow.
Which is weird. That's why, like, Joey always tells me and everybody, like, it ain't going to come find you. You got to go find it. Nobody's going to drop money on your step. You got to go get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's always an opportunity outside your house. So make a long story short, I go. I'm in there for 5 seconds. I walk in. I see this girl who I know my whole life. I go up to her. I say hello. She says hello. And there's a blonde girl standing behind her who I never seen a day in my life. She says hello to all my friends and then comes up to me and says hello. And I look, I said, wow. I said, who the fuck is this girl? I said, Jesus God. Now, my friends are there. I'm here for 15 minutes. I'm like, I want to go. I don't want to stay here no more.
Go to the Drake concert.
I want to go to Drake concert. As I'm leaving, the girl taps me on the shoulder, the girl who I know, and says, "Hey, can you drive me and my friend Danielle to Chicky and Pete's?" I said, "Yeah, we're going that way. We're going to the Drake concert." They get in the car. Everybody's talking. I'm really not talking that much because I don't know this girl Danielle. But I'm looking at her in the rear view because, you know, I like her. We leave. They get out of the car, and this is the true story. If my friend Russo and Reverso was here, they would tell you. They get out of the car. I look over at both of them. I said, I'm going to marry that girl. I never said a word to her.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
That's it. You just said hello.
Just said hello.
Left
They're
it at
like,
that.
you have no fucking shot. Just like that. Just like that.
Yeah.
No shot.
No,
That's
sir.
great.
I'm like, you'll see. And I love that. I love it. I love the challenge. I
challenge.
love
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
don't tell me what I'm not going to do. Make a long story short, 2 days later, I'm washing my car. You know, you're clean and sober. You do weird things.
You wash your car out front of your house.
Yeah, like I'm just doing things. You know,
Yep.
I'm walking around at work. I go in the backseat of my car and find a lipstick. I'm like, oh shit. Text the girl, Elisa, her name is. Did you leave your lipstick in my car? She says, no, but maybe my friend Danielle did. I said, okay, perfect. I hope it's Danielle's.
Yeah.
Right.
She says, it is Danielle's. I said, know what? I'll drop it off to your mailbox, give it back to your friend. I drop it off in the mailbox. I get a DM on Instagram from Danielle, who now is my wife. She says to me, thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. Once the DM is given, I said,
She was yours.
It's over.
I got her.
It's over.
I got her. And it became like a challenge and a joke with my friends. Like, you have no shot, this, that, the other. You're sober. She still goes out, whatever. But this is how I like to say it, the gifts that recovery give you.
Right.
Because you're confident
Yep.
and you're clean and sober. And I know that I got the advantage over everybody. I'm not, how can I say, because we're clean and sober, I'm not at a disadvantage. I'm at a fucking advantage.
Absolutely.
There's 300 people in the room and I'm the only guy sober and clean. Guess what? All the attention's on me.
It's also because like you have such a strong knowledge of self.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's really what it is.
Correct.
You know
And a
what
strong
who you
strong
are.
personality helps too.
Yeah, of
Which
course.
you have.
Yeah, of course.
But I know a lot of guys who are not clean and sober, and they just think that there's something that they're not.
Yeah,
that
well,
they're just clearly not. Like,
Yeah.
I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I'm capable
Yeah,
of.
and when you have confidence and when you know what you're capable of, like you just said, and you know what you could do for your family, you know that you're the only guy that's going to show up. You're the guy.
You're the guy.
You're the guy. So now, like, all my friends are back in my life. Like I said, now I meet this girl, and you know, before I met her, I was doing my thing. You know, I'm single. You know, when you're single and sober at first, you're the man. You're killing it.
Yeah. I met my wife 30 days sober. I
Yeah,
have
there
no
you go.
idea what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah, well, then
I
that's
fell
the
in
end.
love with her right
and
away.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
see?
met my wife. I was 5 years sober.
Yeah. And so I'm.
I met her bartending.
See, there you go.
I got into bartending after I got. I don't
After
tell
you got
people.
sober,
this.
yeah.
Sober
I don't tell
bartender.
people that because
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Of
But
course not, but-
I met my wife in a
but
nightclub.
that's your story.
Yeah, that's part of the story. She was a bartender too.
That's great. And I, you know, it took me like, 6 months to, get her to say yes. Because you got to realize there's a 11-year age difference. She was older than me.
Oh, she is
older than
you?
me. 11
Okay.
years. You know, she's living in Center City. It's nightlife galore up there. And I'm a 26-year-old sober 2 years kid who has a track record of with other girls. And, there's a lot that goes involved in this.
Sure.
6 months down the line, she finally accepts go on a date with me. My life changes forever.
Yeah.
Stone cold, ride or die, the best person in my life. I love her to death. Just she accepted me for who I am. She knows who I am. She knows I'm batshit crazy, in certain situations.
As long as
but
she knows.
She knows. So everything just worked out for good. And then now as time goes on, life gets even crazier. I start getting noticed on social media for my Chevy commercials.
You do all your own like Instagram ads.
I did everything myself.
for selling cars.
For selling cars. Because I wanted to get a niche and I wanted to do something different. You're sober and clean, so you want to be a little goofy.
So they didn't pay you to do those commercials?
I did every commercial I ever did for Chevy was free.
You're kidding.
I built their brand up.
What?
From
Mall Chevrolet?
From selling me and the guys that were there, this is the truth. We built that store up from doing 80 cars a month to close to 200.
Wow.
And I started doing them commercials by myself for free.
Well, you got to think as a car salesman, like it is your own personal brand. Like
That's
when people
right.
see
They're
that,
coming
they
to
show
see
up
you.
and they're like,
Correct.
we want to see Lil
But how about
Snuff.
when I
Yeah.
became a manager for the last 4 years and I was still doing them for free?
Yeah, well,
Well, but that's still part of your
but I built my
money.
brand. My brand is my brand.
Right, that's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like I
That's
still
right.
go places and people scream selling Chevys for less.
Yeah.
So, it's stuck.
yeah.
So as time goes on, everything's going good. Get into, I'm sober and clean. Life goes on. Now the podcast comes into play.
Yeah, how did that happen?
So a weird story, Joey Wags are golfing in Florida. A guy approaches Joey, who's a big-time movie producer and was in the biggest hit HBO series of all time, Entourage, Kevin Connolly.
Oh, Kevin Connolly, yeah.
He says to Joey, would you ever let me make a movie about you? He said, no. Would you ever let me write a book about you? He said, no. He said, all right. Next week, he comes to him again and said, I got a great idea. He says, how about we make a podcast? Joey's like, what the fuck is a podcast?
Right.
What's a podcast?
What's a podcast? Yeah.
Wags is saying to himself, I don't know what a podcast is neither. He says, listen, a podcast is going to take over radio. It's going to take over newspapers. Eventually, it's probably going to take over all TV. He's like, that's where people are going to advertise and people are going to watch podcasts. He's like, I don't know nothing about it. They go back and forth. Wags comes home. He tells me, he says that, somebody approached Joey to make a podcast. Do you think Joey making a podcast would be a good idea? I said, I think it'd be a great idea. Now, I didn't want to overstep my boundary and put myself involved in this, but I said, I think it would be great for him. Can make money. He could talk sports, shit like that. Another week goes by. Wags comes to me and he says, listen, he says, they want to make a podcast. Joey wants to talk to you. He says, he's going to call, speakerphone. Well, yo, what are you doing? We're talking sports. He says, listen, he says, they want to make this podcast and say I need a sidekick. I said, all right. Now, when he calls me, I kind of initially know what he's going to say. He says, I think you would be a perfect sidekick for me. He's like, would you want to do it? I said, of course I want to do it. Do you want me to do it? He says, yeah. He says, but I don't know what I'm doing, he says, and what are we going to talk about? So I shout out pasta and parlays.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Pasta
food
and
and sports.
Right. Just be
My
yourself.
2 favorite
basically.
things. Yeah.
So
Right.
he's like, all right. He's like, you know what? He's like, after the conversation, he's like, nah, I ain't doing it. He's like, I'm not going to do it. Another week goes by. My phone's ringing relentlessly. I'm in work. I'm not answering. California number's calling me. I answer the phone. It's Kevin Connolly. He's like, send me all your content right now. I sent him the content. I guess he watched it. He calls me. He says, listen, I just talked to Joey. I explained to him what we're going to do. This is Tuesday. When are you off of work? Because I was in the car business. I said Thursday. He said, Thursday morning, I'm getting you a plane ticket. Come to Boca Raton. We're making a podcast. And that's how we made a podcast.
How'd the first one go?
Awkward because...
You didn't know what you were doing.
Not that we didn't know what we were doing, but he's never did something like this. Now I am involved in telling this guy, who's a public figure's life story on camera that he has never done before. So one, I got to make sure that I'm doing a good job, and I got to make sure that he's okay because I'm not playing with my life; I'm playing with his life.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that he knows I'm 100% all in and make sure this goes the right way.
Yeah.
So it was, the lights are on us. I mean, you're talking about producers are there.
Right.
It was bizarre.
That's tough.
So it was
You had
tough.
never done it before.
Never.
Did you do any research?
What do you mean? Like,
Did you watch other podcasts?
oh
Before
yeah,
going
of
into
course.
it?
Yeah. I always watch podcasts.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So, but I'm like, I ain't no fucking journalist, host.
Right.
I barely graduated high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just wind up working. And the podcast episode 1 exploded. It was like, holy shit.
Off the rip.
It was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, the first night, it was like 175,000 views.
Wow.
I'm
Crazy.
like, my Instagram account is blowing up. My phone's blowing up. I got Fox 29 News writing stories about me.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Reddit. I have a Reddit profile. I'm like, Joe, this is crazy. He's like, this is just the beginning. He's like, just wait and see what happens. I'm like, oh my God. So I knew from episode 1, and by the way, no one knew we were making a podcast besides me, Joey, Wags, Kevin Connolly, and my wife. I
That's
told my
it.
parents I was going to Florida. When I come home from Florida, I'll tell you what I'm doing. No one knew. The first episode, no one knew when it was coming out besides that day. I watched our YouTube subscribers go to 20,000 the first day.
Damn.
I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy.
You had a YouTube channel before that?
We created that morning before we posted it.
Just before the
created
podcast.
Yeah, we
it then
created
and there.
everything.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is insane. So I knew from episode 1 that it was going to explode. And I knew a lot of things were going to come, whether it was positives or negative, I'm going to take it. I'm in the car business still. Not my guy who got me the job, Dante, who got me the job, made me a manager, best car salesman I've ever met. He was great. His boss was a general manager. One, he didn't like me because I was from South Philly. He didn't like Joey, and he didn't like Joey's politics that he likes Donald Trump.
Right.
When the episode came out, from that day on, I started getting tortured.
Really?
In work. It was a
From
nightmare
him?
from him.
Wow.
We went like 6 weeks one time. He didn't even look at me or say a word to me. So I knew inevitably he was going to fire me. I go to my wife. I said, listen, today's the day. He just called me in the office. He wants to have a meeting with me. I said, this isn't going to be a good meeting. She says, good. Now, my wife's working with me at the time. She says, before anything happens, she says, walk in there, tell them to go fuck themselves, and we're out of here together. Just like that.
Oh, she was working at the dealership with you.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Walked in there.
Wow.
I got my demo keys. I threw them. It was all hell broke loose.
See you never.
See you later. Fuck you. You know, you like Joe Biden. I don't care who you like. You could like anybody.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. I will never judge you for your race. I have many friends that are all different colors.
Of course.
Whether they're purple, blue, white, black, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care your politic view. I don't care nothing. But you're going to judge me because of that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
All right?
100%. We don't need people like that.
That was it. I left, and then it was full force into the podcast, you know, and let's roll with it. And I started implicating, you know, recovery into the podcast. And then during that time, Mark reaches out to me to come work over at Tribe, which is a great team over there. And from that day on, it was just like, this is what I'm going to do. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Well, that's like what I wanted to get into next was just him creating content, not even recovery related. Like the podcast, the car commercials, everything aside, like this is just a sober man.
That's it.
And by nature, through his platform, people inherently reach out for help.
That's it.
And it's amazing. Like he helps so many people. He doesn't know anything about the space or the industry or its intricacies or anything like that. He just knows when somebody needs help, and he answers everybody.
And sometimes it's insanity. And that's another thing about, I don't care about anything that has to do with the drama. I don't care anything that has to do with the treatment centers, who don't like this guy, I'm not interested. I'm not into it, just like you're not, just like Mark's not. You know, everybody's here for one common goal, and that's to help the next person.
Yep.
And if you're not going to do that, I got no time for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't tell me you're that busy, because I know how fucking busy I am.
Yeah, the
and I have
guy
time.
You're never that busy.
So I have no time for it. And, you know, so far, listen, the car business was drama.
I'm sure.
But the recovery business, I never met so many people that don't like each other. I mean, it's insanity.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
I've been in the recovery business for 31 years, and it's like I tell people, like, you don't need this business, man. You could do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is crazy. But thank God I'm not on that side of the fence anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
And even just in general in life, my personality, and I think you know me longer than he knows me, of course. I'll help anybody, and I'll do anything for anything. And I don't need to make a dollar. Mm-hmm. You know, people always say, oh, what do you mean you don't charge people to go to their restaurants to do anything? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Guy just likes a good sandwich.
Yeah. No,
You
don't
exactly.
Guy just likes a good sandwich.
There's a girl from my neighborhood. Her name's Felicia Punzo. I know her my whole life, her family, her husband, everybody. She came out with a podcast. The people are like, you're going to go on her podcast and not charge her? Are you fucking for real? Charge who?
For what?
For what?
Yeah.
I want to charge somebody I know my whole life to hear my life story. Well, you're going to make her platform huge. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want everybody to grow. Yeah.
There's space for everybody.
Listen,
when you think about it.
Everybody should win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to get mine.
Yeah, of course.
That's it.
As you
know what
have
I mean? That's
up until this point.
I'm never nervous. I'm never depressed. I'm never in a bad mood. You know, sometimes I just need like a day where I got to recover and be like, let me shut this phone off. Like 2 weeks ago, I couldn't deal with anything. And not deal with, I just need a time alone with my dog and my wife.
And that's it.
Right. That's it. You know what I mean? My head's going to explode because you're doing so many different things. And, you know, that's my life story in a fucking nutshell.
Buddy, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was
that's a nice story.
Yeah.
You know, as far as your recovery, when you got out, when you finally started going around the meetings and stuff, did you like adhere to the program like a lot of other people do, like steps and sponsor and things like that?
So I got a sponsor who I still talk to this day, professional basketball player, Isaiah Wilson, played for the Detroit Pistons. I met him in the Union. Black guy, 86 years old, took me to my first meeting, the Dixon House.
Wow.
He's 86 years old right now.
Damn.
He's 32 years sober or maybe 35. I don't know exactly.
Wow. Nice.
Took me to my first meeting. I was the only white kid in there. I felt better in that meeting than I felt in any other meeting I ever went to, okay?
Yeah.
I used to go to meetings
So-
in North Philly, Camden.
Yeah.
Because it's just an experience. You want to see how everybody is doing this. And I remember going to a meeting in North Philly, and I'm working, and life is pretty good, and there's people there that were kind of wondering where their next meal was coming from.
Yeah.
But you know what they really, really wanted? They wanted to stay sober.
That's it.
So it's like, well, that's the best kind of recovery when you're fighting for that. Good
100%.
things are eventually going to happen.
I like to say this for people that are listening. I always say this. What works for you is what works.
Yeah.
You don't have to abide by the 90 and 90. You're not allowed to get a job.
I didn't do that.
You're not allowed to have a girlfriend. You're not. This isn't the military.
They're called suggestions
Yeah,
for a
like-
reason.
Yeah, there's suggestions.
And that was the thing that I had the most trouble dealing with at meetings. One, the drama was crazy. And two, don't tell me what I can and cannot do. It's a suggestion, but you're not making it a suggestion. The old timers in these programs get nasty. So if you're young and you're just coming around, what works for you works for you. It might not work for the next guy, but if it works for you, keep doing it.
That's why I always tell guys to diversify.
Yeah,
Like if you stay in going to the same 4 meetings in the same square 6
Yeah,
blocks, like,
exactly.
you're just not going to grow.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
I hated that, and that's honestly, and I could say it on why I stopped going to meetings. I couldn't hear, any more of that. Like I, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me that if I don't go do step work on a Friday night at 11 p.m. that I'm going to go get high the
I'm
next day.
die. Yeah.
So I didn't
I
go
hear
for
ya.
that. But one thing did stick with me. This kid told me before, I swear to God. He seen me outside a meeting and I littered. And he said, next time you litter, you're going to relapse. I still ain't littered till this day. 8 years later.
I love that that's the one that
awesome.
resonated
And my
with him.
parents, Joe, everybody, they'll get my car. There's bottles, sometimes there's trash. They're like, I will not litter.
Yeah.
I won't litter. I'll do something else, but I ain't littering.
That's
not
awesome,
littering.
man.
So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. But you do a lot of that fifth tradition.
correct.
Continue to help the person that's struggling.
That's it.
And that's really what it's all about. And then, good things come to you.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff you have in your life.
Of course.
Because you continue to do the work kind of for other people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have this thing in my mind, and my wife would tell you if she was here, like, it's not that bad. Things ain't that bad.
Now
We'll
in
be fine.
Our problems today.
Yeah, like, we'll be fine.
I make a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah. Oh
so
my God, the
quickly.
mortgage is due. We don't have any money in the account. All right.
We'll be
I'll
all right.
figure it out.
So let it go a few days.
I'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
It's
Let it
fine.
go another week.
We'll be okay. Life's not that crazy. And that's why I think a lot of people today suffer with mental health is because the stress that they see and the anxiety, and they look on social media and see this guy's wearing a Rolex, that guy's got a new
Right.
car, she's getting her nails done twice a week. And they're like, well, I'm not doing that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Dude, that's it.
That's a social media post
Yeah,
too.
like-
you
Yeah,
can't
but-
get a full look at somebody's life based
No.
on that.
Yeah.
No.
That's right. But you have to look at it this way. When you see a person like that, you just brought up mental health,
Yeah.
which is a great topic. They lack coping skills.
Correct.
And that's a lot of what you get taught in
Yeah.
treatment. You have to be able to cope with life as life comes at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't make the mortgage, let's say, what do we do as addicts and alcoholics? We go use. I got to get this out of my head. I got to get relief from
Yeah.
what I'm going through.
You run away.
You
Yeah.
run away.
Yeah.
But when God gave out the coping skills, like he forgot to strap that to our back.
Definitely.
So we ran to other things
Yeah.
instead of, and that's what people do on occasion. Like mental health, in my opinion, is a gigantic
Especially
factor.
now. Especially now.
Yeah,
It's gigantic.
Definitely,
Gigantic.
definitely.
And people who are struggling with mental health, like, just reach out.
I think there's this like post-COVID world mental health blanket.
Yeah, it's like
all
people
over
use it
us
as an excuse.
Americans. People definitely use
Yeah.
it as an excuse, but there definitely is like a thing. Like,
Yeah, it's-
keeping us all inside, or at least trying to keep us all inside for 2 years. Like, didn't do us any favors.
No, of course
Didn't
not.
do us any favors up here.
Some
You
of
know
us
what I mean?
didn't adhere to that.
I
though.
lasted about
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah,
yeah.
I might have gone.
I was at Gino Steaks drinking coffee every morning.
It was my 29th birthday.
That's
We were
great.
like freshly on lockdown.
Yeah.
Because lockdown was March 15th.
Something like that,
2020.
yeah.
2020. My birthday's in April. My wife said, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" I said, "I just want to go eat a Tacanelli's pizza all by myself.
That's it.
I want to be away from you." And that's what I did.
That's
I
it.
drove down to Port Richmond.
Oh,
I
my
got a pizza.
God.
I ate it in my car by
That's
myself.
it.
It was the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
At that point in time.
Sometimes you need that, like, you know, like for me, for relaxation, and it's weird to even say it, I sit in the bathtub with the water on
You got a nice
blasting hot.
You have a nice
Wow.
bathtub.
I got a
too.
nice bathtub. Yeah,
do.
And,
That's cool.
And I just sit there and I relax. That's like my sanctuary. That's where I feel the most calm at, and I feel the most calm also when I cook. When I'm cooking, I'm in a groove and I enjoy it.
I think the most calm I am is out on the back deck here. We're just so everybody knows, we're in Washington Township in the think tank. So I go out back with a little speaker, throw some music on, light up a cigar.
And you're good.
Forget about it.
And the dogs are around. Everyone's
The
around.
dogs are around. The
Yeah.
cats are going in and out. Because they come outside.
But that's
too.
your
Yeah.
thing.
That's it.
Whatever
Spot.
works
That's
for
it.
you, make it work.
Or I jump on one of my motorcycles and just throw the headphones in and just cruise wherever I feel like. That's it. You get out of your headspace.
You know what it is for me? Every morning I take my girls to the bus. And I go, it's so funny because I'm a young dad. You know what I mean? I had Sophia when I was
Yeah.
23, 24. So I'm like 10 years younger than everyone else. I drop off my kids. I hug and tell them I love them so much. And then I have like a nice, maybe like 10-minute walk back to my house. And I just kind of reflect at that moment in time. Like it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you made it, dude.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Like you just put your kids on the bus.
Yeah, you're
You
good.
have that opportunity to do that every single day. And
That's it.
it means the world to
Yeah,
me.
and you don't want to miss that.
Never. I never will.
Love it.
And you will if you go back to where you were.
100%.
Of course.
Oh, they won't even be getting on the bus, brother.
Definitely.
No bus to get on, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys having me on, though. I really do.
We
Brother, this
want
was
to
really
definitely thank you
refreshing.
for coming on.
Of course.
It means a lot. Sam, any final thoughts?
I just wanted to thank Joe for
Of
coming
course.
out, sharing his experience, strength, and hope. And it's just an incredible story.
Thank you. I
brother.
appreciate you guys
Great
having me.
story of success and
I love
inspiration
watching
too.
Yeah.
The inspiration comes in the comeback.
Yeah.
Like it's a comeback.
Listen, that meme that everybody says, you ain't a hustler till you lose it all and get it all back.
Yeah.
That's what I live by.
That's it.
That's it. So
That's it.
And,
So-
and it's an easy program. All you got to do is don't pick up today.
That's right.
That's it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
No
Thanks
problem,
for sharing,
Joe.
brother.
Sam,
Got to be tenacious about your recovery.
if you want to stay sober.
I'm Sam. I'm an alcoholic and
I'm
addict.
Vinny. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and you are listening to Tenacious Recovery. Thanks to Joe Perry.
Thanks, Snuff.
Didn't mean
Thank
to say
you.
your last name there.
No, it's all right. You can.
Anonymity. Lil Snuff, appreciate you being here. And God willing, we'll see you next time.